I'm sitting in Rhonda's apartment with my third glass of wine, and I still can't believe Michael threw away our entire relationship over a phone. A phone. After everything I did for him, after I transformed him from this awkward martial arts nerd into someone actually dateable, he had the audacity to dump me in front of my friends like I was nothing. Let me tell you what really happened that night, not the version he's probably telling his incel friends online. Michael and I had been together for a year and a half. When we met at that festival, he was doing some lame karate demonstration with his dojo or whatever. Honestly, it was kind of pathetic. A bunch of grown men in pajamas pretending to fight. But there was something about him that caught my eye. Maybe it was the way he moved with confidence during the demonstration. Or maybe it was just that I could tell he had money. See, I'd just come off a string of relationships with guys who were all talk and no substance. Jake, the musician who lived in his mom's basement. Tyler, the entrepreneur who was really just unemployed. Marcus, the personal trainer who spent more time looking at himself in the gym mirrors than looking at me. I was 28, and my friends were all starting to get engaged. I needed someone serious, someone stable, someone who could give me the life I deserved. When Michael approached me after his demonstration, I could immediately tell he was different. Software developer, nice car visible in the parking lot, talked about his own place within the first 10 minutes. He was trying so hard to impress me, stumbling over his words when I smiled at him. It was actually kind of cute how nervous he was. Here was this accomplished guy who could probably code circles around anyone, but he could barely maintain eye contact with me. The first few months were actually sweet. He was so grateful to have me, always taking me to nice restaurants, buying me thoughtful gifts, planning elaborate dates. He'd text me good morning every day, remember every little thing I mentioned wanting, surprise me with flowers at work. It was like having a puppy, eager to please and happy just to be around me. My friends were jealous. Here was this guy who actually had his life together and worshipped the ground I walked on. "You've got him so well trained," Rhonda would say, watching him drive across town just to bring me my favorite coffee when I was having a bad day. "Where can I find one like that?" But after about 6 months, something changed. He stopped being as attentive. He'd go to his martial arts classes 3 times a week instead of spending that time with me. Started going to the gym at 6 a.m. before work. He began this whole self-improvement kick, reading these weird books about masculinity, watching YouTube videos about male empowerment or whatever, listening to podcasts during his commute instead of calling me. I tried to be supportive at first. I really did. I bought him new gym clothes, pretended to be interested when he talked about his gains, even went to watch one of his martial arts belt tests. But honestly, it was annoying. I already liked him the way he was, compliant and generous. This new version of him was different, harder, less manageable. The real problem started when he began setting boundaries. That word makes me want to scream. Suddenly, he couldn't drop everything to drive me places when my car was in the shop. He started saying no when I wanted to go to expensive restaurants multiple times a week, suggesting we cook at home instead. He even had the nerve to tell me I should contribute when we went out sometimes. Like, what happened to chivalry? "I thought you were raised to be a provider," I told him once when he suggested we split a dinner bill. "What would your parents think?" He just looked at me with this strange expression and said, "They'd think I was being smart about my finances. But I'm getting ahead of myself." The truth is, I'd been talking to my ex, Brad, for about 2 months before that night. It started innocently enough. He'd liked one of my Instagram photos from a girls' night out, the one where I wore that little black dress Michael said was too revealing for going out without him. Just a fire emoji in the comments, nothing serious. I'd replied to his story a few days later, just a laughing emoji at some meme he'd posted. Then he DM'd me asking how I'd been. What was I supposed to do, ignore him? That would be rude. We'd dated for 8 months before I met Michael. We had history. Brad was everything Michael wasn't. 6'2", tattooed, bartender at this trendy club downtown. He was spontaneous, exciting, dominant in a way that made me feel alive. Where Michael planned everything out, Brad would text at 11 p.m. asking if I wanted to go for a midnight ride on his motorcycle. Where Michael was predictable and safe, Brad was dangerous and thrilling. The conversations started innocent. "How's work? Seeing anyone? Remember that time we went to Vegas?" But within a few weeks, they'd evolved. He'd send me shirtless gym selfies, accidentally. Tell me he missed me. Ask if I ever thought about what we had. "My biggest regret is letting you go," he texted one night while Michael was asleep beside me. "You didn't let me go," I replied. "You cheated with that bartender from Whiskey River." "I was an idiot. I've grown up a lot since then. I know what I want now." "And what's that?" "You." "I wasn't cheating. I want to be clear about that. Just because I was texting another man doesn't mean I was cheating. I was exploring my options, keeping doors open. Every smart woman does that. You never know when your current relationship might end, and it's stupid to put all your eggs in one basket." My mom always told me, "A woman should have a man on her arm, one in her heart, and one in her back pocket." It's just common sense. Besides, there were others too. Not just Brad. James from my spin class, who always made sure to get the bike next to mine. David from work, who brought me coffee every morning and found excuses to stop by my desk. That guy Ryan, who'd been sliding into my DMs for months with increasingly creative pickup lines. A few others from dating apps I'd never quite deleted. Just to see what was out there, to make sure I wasn't settling. Michael didn't understand that this was normal. Every woman I know has orbiters, backup options, men waiting in the wings. It's not cheating, it's smart dating strategy. Men do it all the time. But when we do it, suddenly we're the villains. My friend Zoe had actually given me the idea for how to handle it if things went south. She'd been dating this guy Daniel for over 2 years, and she'd started texting with a coworker who was showing interest. Actually, more than texting. They'd had lunch a few times, stayed late at work together, shared some pretty intimate conversations about their relationships. When Daniel found out and freaked out, she tried to flip it into an open relationship suggestion. I told him I was just trying to explore what else was out there to make sure what we had was real, she explained over Cosmos one night. That maybe if we both dated other people casually, it would strengthen our bond. It didn't work out for her. Daniel dumped her on the spot like the insecure man-child he was. But I thought the strategy was genius. If Michael ever found my messages with Brad or the others, I could just say I was interested in opening things up, making our relationship more modern and evolved. Maybe even suggest that he could see other women too, knowing full well he'd never be able to pull anyone as hot as me. That night at Zoe's apartment was supposed to be a regular hangout. Just us girls drinking wine, talking about life, maybe watching some trashy reality TV. Michael always came along because he didn't trust me going out without him. Red flag much? He'd sit there playing video games while we talked, pretending he wasn't listening to every word we said. So controlling. I'd been feeling particularly frustrated with him that week. He'd declined to buy me the new Louis Vuitton purse I'd been hinting about for months, saying he needed to save for the future. The future of what? We'd been together 1.5 years, and he still hadn't even hinted at proposing. Meanwhile, Brad had texted me that morning saying he'd love to spoil me the way I deserved. When Zoe started telling us about her breakup with Daniel, I felt bad for her. She'd just suggested they try something new, and he'd completely overreacted. She was sobbing into her wine, mascara running down her face, going on about how she thought they were going to get married. "I don't understand," she kept saying. "I just wanted to make sure what we had was real. I wanted to experience other people so I'd know for sure he was the one." Rhonda was rubbing her back, calling Daniel every name in the book. "He's just insecure," she said. "A real man would understand that you need to explore your options." That's when Michael decided to insert himself into our conversation. I could see him pause his game, that little furrow appearing between his eyebrows that meant he was about to say something annoying. "Why didn't you just break up with him if you weren't sure he was the one?" he asked, not even looking up from his controller. The audacity. The absolute audacity of this man who I'd had to teach how to dress properly, who didn't even own a suit that fit when we met, telling us about relationships. What followed was the most infuriating display of mansplaining I've ever experienced. He sat there, lecturing us about how high-value men don't share their women, how we were all chasing the wrong guys, how men categorize women as either hookup material or wife material, like he was some kind of relationship expert when I'd literally had to show him how to plan a proper date when we first started going out. "Men are simple," he said, with this condescending tone that made me want to throw my wine in his face. "We want someone feminine, not argumentative, and faithful. That's it." Feminine? I was wearing a full face of makeup, had just gotten my nails done, was literally sitting there in a dress and heels. How much more feminine could I be? Not argumentative? Sorry for having opinions and standing up for myself. And faithful? I was faithful. Texting isn't cheating. But the worst part was when Rhonda challenged him about having other girls in his phone. She was just making a point. Every guy has backup options. It's human nature. Brad had told me about all the girls who threw themselves at him at the bar every night. That's just how men are. But Michael had to make this big show of handing me his phone, proving he had nothing to hide. "I have nothing to hide," he said, unlocking it with his stupid Face ID and handing it to me like he was some kind of saint. Of course it was clean. He probably deleted everything before we came over. Men aren't stupid. They know how to cover their tracks. My ex taught me that. They have secret folders, apps that look like calculators but hide photos, separate email accounts for their dating profiles. Michael was in tech. He definitely knew all the tricks. I went through his phone because Rhonda was watching, expecting me to find something. But there was nothing. No dating apps, no suspicious texts, no hidden folders. Even his Instagram DMs were empty except for messages from his mom and sister. It was actually kind of pathetic. What kind of 28-year-old man doesn't have any female friends? That's a red flag in itself. Probably means he's possessive and jealous. When I handed his phone back, Rhonda looked shocked. I could tell she didn't believe it either. No man is that faithful. They all have something on the side, even if it's just porn or OnlyFans subscriptions. That's when Michael held out his hand to me. "Your turn," he said, with this look in his eyes I'd never seen before. My heart stopped. My phone was a disaster. Hundreds of messages with Brad, including some photos that were not appropriate for a woman in a relationship to receive. Or send. The DMs from random guys commenting on my posts. The Snapchat conversations that I thought disappeared, but sometimes showed notifications. My Tinder profile that I'd never deleted, just in case. The texts from James about our workout sessions that were definitely about more than working out. But more than that, it was the principle of the thing. A woman's phone is private. It's like asking to read her diary or go through her purse. There are some boundaries that shouldn't be crossed, even in a relationship. Especially in a relationship. I tried to handle it calmly. "I'm not comfortable with that," I said, putting my phone in my purse. "I trust you, and you should trust me." "I did trust you," he said, and the past tense stung. "But you going through my phone when you won't show me yours tells me everything I need to know." "That's different," I protested. "Rhonda was challenging you. I wasn't accusing you of anything." "Show me your phone, Stephanie." The way he said my name, cold and flat, made me shiver. This wasn't the Michael who brought me flowers every week, who rubbed my feet while we watched Netflix, who told me I was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. This was someone else. Someone harder. Someone who'd been influenced by all those toxic masculinity podcasts. "No," I said. "I don't have to prove anything to you." "You're right," he said, standing up. "You don't." When he announced to everyone that I'd failed the girlfriend test, like I was some object to be tested, like our relationship was a game he was playing, I felt humiliated. Zoe had stopped crying and was staring at us. Rhonda looked satisfied, like she'd proven some point. And Michael just walked out, calm as anything, like the last year and a half meant nothing. I chased after him, my heels clicking on the pavement, my dress riding up as I tried to keep pace with his long strides. I wasn't wearing the right shoes for running, and I nearly twisted my ankle on the uneven sidewalk, but I didn't care. I couldn't let him leave like this. "Michael, wait!" I called out. "Please, just listen to me." He stopped at his car, keys already in hand. When he turned to look at me, his face was completely blank. No anger, no hurt, just nothing. "There's nothing bad on my phone," I lied, tears already starting to run my makeup. "I just don't like people going through my things. It's a boundary for me. You should respect that." "A boundary," he repeated, and there was something almost like amusement in his voice. "Interesting choice of words, considering how you react when I set any boundaries." "That's not fair. What's on your phone, Stephanie?" "Nothing, just conversations with friends, girl stuff, private things." "Male friends?" I hesitated a second too long. "I have friends of both genders. That's normal. That's healthy." "Are you texting other men?" "Not like that." "Are you texting other men?" "You're being controlling," I deflected. "This is exactly the kind of toxic behavior. Goodbye, Stephanie." He got in his car and started the engine. I banged on the window, begging him to talk to me, but he just drove away, leaving me standing in the parking lot in my dress and heels, mascara running down my face, looking like a crazy person. The next 12 hours were the longest of my life. I stayed up all night deleting everything. Every message with Brad, including the ones where he told me he loved me and I'd hearted them instead of responding. Every DM from random guys. The Tinder profile I'd been maintaining just to see what was out there. The photos in my hidden folder that Brad had sent and the ones I'd sent back during particularly boring nights when Michael was at his martial arts classes. My thumb actually cramped from swiping delete so many times. Years of backup options gone. My safety net erased. All for a man who'd already made up his mind. I even deleted the innocent stuff just to be safe. Conversations with male coworkers about projects, messages from my personal trainer about scheduling, the funny memes my cousin sent me. By 6 a.m., my phone was cleaner than a nun's browser history. I showed up at his apartment at 8 a.m., knowing he'd be up getting ready for his Saturday gym session. I'd fixed my makeup, worn the sundress he used to love, brought his favorite coffee as a peace offering. When he opened the door, he didn't look surprised to see me. He just looked tired. "I want to show you my phone," I said, holding it out. "Look, there's nothing on it. You can check everything." "It's too late for that," he said, not even glancing at the phone. "But there's nothing on it." "Not anymore." The way he said it, so matter-of-fact, made me want to scream. He knew. Of course he knew. I'd just proven my guilt by deleting everything. "Michael, please, I love you. We have something special. Don't throw it away over this. You threw it away when you chose whatever's on that phone over our relationship." "It was just conversations. I wasn't cheating." "I don't believe you." Those 3 words hit harder than any breakup speech could have. He didn't believe me. After a year and a half, after everything I'd done for him, after transforming him from antisocial nerd to presentable boyfriend, he didn't believe me. "You're going to regret this," I told him, my voice shaking. "You're never going to find another woman like me, someone who pushes you to be better, who challenges you, who—" "You're right," he interrupted. "I won't find another woman like you. That's the point." He closed the door in my face. The audacity, the absolute disrespect. I'd given him the best year and a half of my 20s, and he dismissed me like I was nothing. The last month has been hell. My friends are divided. Rhonda thinks I should have just shown him the phone from the start, dealt with the consequences. "You could have explained the messages," she said. "Made him understand they meant nothing." But Zoe gets it. She understands that a woman needs her privacy, her options, her independence. He was looking for an excuse to leave, she insists. This was just convenient for him. My mom has been the worst. When I told her what happened, expecting sympathy, she just sighed and said, "Stephanie, when are you going to learn? You can't have your cake and eat it too." I wasn't eating any cake, I protested. I was just keeping my options open. You were texting your ex while in a relationship. So, it's not like I slept with him. The look she gave me made me feel like I was 15 again, caught sneaking out to meet boys. But the worst part? He's already moving on. Rhonda saw him on Bumble last week. His profile says he's looking for someone feminine, loyal, and trustworthy. The shade of it all. As if I wasn't feminine enough for him. As if I wasn't loyal. I never actually did anything with Brad. Just some texting, some photos, some fantasizing about what could have been. That's not cheating in my book. I've been trying to reach out, to explain, to make him understand. I text him every day from my Google Voice number since he blocked my real one. Sometimes I pour my heart out, telling him how much I miss him, how I'll do anything to fix this. Sometimes I'm angry, telling him he's going to die alone with his trust issues and control problems. Sometimes I just send a simple "thinking of you" to remind him I exist. He never responds. Brad's been more attentive since I became single. Funny how that works. When I was with Michael, Brad was all mystery and seduction. Now that I'm available, he wants to take me to dinner, meet my friends, talk about the future. But Brad's a bartender who lives with 3 roommates and drives a 10-year-old Honda. He's fun for late-night texts and the occasional hookup, but he's not husband material. I need someone like Michael, someone stable, successful, going places. Do you know how hard it is to find that at 29? All the good ones are taken or gay or have standards that are impossibly high. I'm competing with 22-year-olds who don't have crow's feet yet, who can drink all night without getting bloated, who haven't been jaded by years of failed relationships. I've been strategic about trying to get him back. I showed up at his gym once, pretending I was interested in joining. He saw me and immediately left, didn't even finish his workout. I accidentally ran into his sister at Target, tried to get her to put in a good word for me. She just gave me a pitying look and said Michael seemed happier than he'd been in months. Happier. Without me. The man who could barely dress himself when we met is happier without me. Last week I did something I'm not proud of. I created a fake profile on Bumble, matched with him, tried to start a conversation. He unmatched the second I sent a message. Either he recognized my writing style or he's just that paranoid about dating now. Either way, it's my fault, apparently. The truth is, I didn't do anything wrong. Having male friends isn't cheating. Keeping your options open isn't betrayal. Wanting privacy isn't suspicious. Every woman I know does the same things I did. Most are just better at hiding it or have boyfriends too stupid to notice. Michael's problem is that he's been brainwashed by whatever red pill nonsense he found online. All that talk about high-value men and women hitting walls and loyalty tests, it's toxic masculinity dressed up as self-improvement. Real men don't need to test their girlfriends. Real men trust their partners. Real men understand that women are complex beings who need freedom and independence and, yes, male attention to feel alive. But men like Michael don't want complex. They want simple. They want submissive little wives who hand over their phones on command, who don't have male friends, who think their man is the only person in the world. They want to control everything, who we talk to, what we wear, where we go. That's not love, that's ownership. I'll find someone better. Someone who understands that trust means not needing to check your partner's phone. Someone who's secure enough to know that a woman can have male friends without it meaning anything. Someone who appreciates what I bring to the table instead of testing me like I'm interviewing for a job. Or maybe I'll text Brad back tonight. At least he knows how to make a woman feel wanted without needing to go through her phone first. At least he understands that a little mystery, a little danger, a little uncertainty is what keeps relationships exciting. Michael will regret this. When he's 35 and still single because no woman can meet his impossible standards, he'll think back to what we had. He'll remember how I pushed him out of his comfort zone, made him try new restaurants, forced him to be social instead of hiding in his apartment playing video games. He'll realize that what he called controlling was actually me trying to help him grow. He'll remember the good times, The trips I planned. The parties I dragged him to where he actually had fun. The way I made his boring tech friends jealous because their girlfriends weren't as hot as me. He'll realize he threw away the best thing that ever happened to him over some meaningless texts. But by then, I'll be married to someone who deserves me. Someone who trusts me. Someone who doesn't need to control every aspect of my life. Someone who understands that in 2024, everyone has options. And choosing to be with someone despite those options is what real love looks like. His loss. Next time, he'll know better than to test a queen.